And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. And if you haven't heard, then you're possibly not on social media or are not listening to radio or watching television. There is a big fixed debate happening amongst young people, and that is manifesting itself very soon, as we now know, on the streets, provided that the protesters have their way. All the police, in fact, go to court to secure an order to stop them. We'll see how this pans out on the 9th of May. However, we know that this is a binary conversation, pitching you, the ordinary citizen, against the leadership. Tonight, we're going to go into this big fixed debate. That's what we call it here on PM Express. This is what has been happening over the last few days. This hashtag has been trending. Hashtag FixTheCountry now. It started off as hashtag FixTheCountry. We've trended for a while. If you check tonight, it has moved to hashtag FixTheCountry now, and it's been trending for quite a while. Largely young people highlighting their concerns and inadequacies. What are these inadequacies in the governance of this country? They list a few new taxes, and a raft of them. We'll go through it shortly for you. Galamsey, which the government is fighting quite vigorously, but it is definitely an issue for those who are backing this particular campaign. Erratic power supply and water supply across the country. This particular one has been one of the issues that everybody has been grappling with. Whether doom saw it back or not is a debate that we'll be having, but citizens are noticing, and so they are making their voices heard. Rising youth unemployment, a key issue for many of these young men and women on social media with their phone, with data, who have decided that it's enough. I want to get my voice heard. Dilapidated health system, they say, is an issue also. Skyrocketing home renting structure. If you are a young person, you are mostly priced out, they believe, out of the rent market because it's very expensive to rent in Ghana. Poor road networks, among others, have all been put together, fueling this particular campaign that we've seen on social media, mainly on Twitter and Facebook, beginning to spill onto the streets very shortly, as the organizers have been arguing. Now, the development they've compounded the challenges. What really has been the development? I'm talking about the many taxes that the government put in their budget, right? In the budget of 2021, several taxes. The COVID-19 health levy. We also saw sanitation and pollution levy, the energy sector recovery levy, the financial sector cleanup levy, all that increasing the cost of living in the country, right? We have new taxes. Road tolls are about to be increased as well. We've been told of that in the budget as well. And this is a major one. In fact, if you watch the timing of this hashtag trend, it started just around the time that we saw the impact of the fuel price hikes play out at many filling stations across the country. People started taking photos of the new prices. That really was in the region of 6 cedis, 13 pesos. That's what you have there. That is when this trend started. People just started feeling this. And the cascade effect hasn't even been felt yet, because the cascade effect will begin to be felt across the country. Everybody else will begin to feel it in their pockets when transport fares also go up, because that's when the market woman at Mokola, who brings her produce from the north, will see that there's an increase in the fare price she's paying. She's paying for transporting yam, for example. And so when she gets to Mokola, she'll be forced to put extra on the cost of yam. Then you go by, you notice that it's costing you more, and then the ripple effect begins to be seen and felt across the economy. We haven't seen that yet, because we're going to be witnessing in the next 48 hours the fares going up. But that really has been, in my estimation, we'll check that very shortly with those who started it. In my estimation, the straw that appears to have broken the back of the camel when it comes to the young men and women who are campaigning for this. But if you look at this graph that we put together for you, and this is from the MPA, the source is MPA, you see what the trend has been when it comes to fuel price increases. This is where we were in 2015. That is 2 cedi 77 pesos for petrol. diesel was 2 cedis 64 pesos. You fill your tank, relatively easily. Between 2015 and now, multiply this by 3, and that's what you have right now. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the cost of fuel per liter has gone up 30%. I mean, it's quite significant. I mean, no, this is 300% jump in the cost of fuel from 2 CD to 6 CDs there. That's a significant leap in the price. And you see what it is. Let's come to this government, because this anger is directed at this government. 2017, we were at 4 CDs. So if you're doing it under this government, we've seen just a little over 1 Ghana CD, just a little over 1 Ghana CD increase in the price over the period of almost 5 years. But this is really what is angering people, and we're going to get into that today. We're going to bring the young men and women, of course, who have been fueling this campaign on social media to have the conversation about this big fakes debate that is happening on social media. My guests will join me. Fascinating, no holds barred conversation on this about to ensue here. If you had it, this is where you need to be tonight as we get to the heart of the matter. What really is the problem, and how does leadership listen to these voices before it turns out big on the streets as we've been warned it will? Stay with me after this break. Conversation is live. And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. A very exciting conversation. And if you've been following what has been happening on social media, it's one of those conversations that moves from online onto the streets. And the letter has already gone to the police. The police has responded that they cannot guarantee protection for those who will be protesting on May 9th on the back of the hashtag FixTheCountry, or Fix the Country now as it's metamorphosed because of COVID-19. But there's this conversation that has already begun with the organizers as they begin to try and see whether they can find a middle ground on this. And tonight, I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by some of those who began this particular campaign, joining us all via Zoom. Again, technology has become the avenue for mobilization. And I'm delighted to say that Prince Kweku Ado is a member of the Fix the Country movement, hashtag, and he joins us via Zoom. Also joining us is Maurice Oliver Baker Vomawo, who is a lawyer and convener of the Fix the Country protest march, and they have recently written to the police. We'll get to him about where they are with that dialogue with the police on the march very shortly. And I am also happy that senior lecturer, Department of Political Science, University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asante, also has agreed to join us because we want to explore this from all angles. We'll also be joined by Richard Asante Yeboah, who is a Deputy Communications Director of the governing New Patriotic Party. As you know, there was a counter trend that had been fueled largely by those with different views also, but also members of the MPP who believe that this current president is already fixing it. And so we'll get his thoughts on this as we proceed. I want to start with you, on this matter, Mausi, because you recently, together with the other members of the Fix the Ghana movement, so to speak, you wrote to the police notifying them of your intention to protest on May 9th. Was it yesterday on my show on Top Story? The police was clear to you that they can't provide protection for you because of COVID-19. You said you're going to pursue dialogue first. What's the latest on that? Have you managed to sit with the police, and do you have a compromise?
Evans, thank you for this conversation. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you again. I've always insisted that the beauty of our democracy is being able to engage in civil dialogue. Yes, as I indicated, we had written to the police and they had responded to us. And I do think that the police have consistently put out a bit of misinformation out there as to what the substance of what they said to us. They've said clearly to us that they cannot grant our request, in their words, to parade people through the streets. And we have been clear and insistent that the police have no right to deny a request. We simply did notify, we didn't ask for them to grant us any permission whatsoever. So that was the state of affairs. We have 48 hours within the law to respond to the police, and we intend to exercise our rights under law. But in the interim, the Inspector General of Police has reached out to us, indicating and asking for a meeting tomorrow morning. It's a meeting, again, like I'm saying, that our commitment is preserving the law. Our angst and anxiety has been how there's been complete disregard for law and for due process in this country. So we're continuing to follow that process, which is law-driven. Now, and this is where I must make a point, which is a bit depressing as well, I must say, that it has become the reflex of the police to claim to deny people the right to protest without even any basis in law. Now, in our letter to them, or in their response to us, they cited the reason for their denial, that they were relying on Executive Instrument 395, which apparently, in their view, has certain restrictions on public gatherings. Now, that instrument was adopted by decree by the president under the Imposition of Restrictions Act. The Imposition of Restrictions Act says when an executive instrument is taken under the law, it is only valid for 3 months. Executive Instrument 395 was adopted in December 2020, meaning that instrument is already expired. So, as I'm saying, as we exist now, there is no instrument prohibiting or having restrictions on anything from the letter the police have given to us. And yet, they have used that language where there's no basis in law whatsoever denying the request to protest. So I'm saying to you that there's a clear pattern here where we are refusing to preserve constitutional rights, and whatever reasons we can find from across the street, we'll find it and throw it at people. But what have they done? I mean, they continue to make this conversation and clutching at straws and making COVID-19 a red herring. But by our own laws, there's no restrictions act exist now, today, on anybody public gathering. There's no basis in law. So that is what we want to be able to get the people of Ghana to understand and let the scales fall from their eyes, that the system do not want you to speak up. They do not want you to hold them to account. They would rather you come up and vote for them, silly you, and go back to bed.
Yeah, so as we stand now, you're going ahead with the protest on May 9th.
Well, as we stand now, we know of no law that prohibits us from doing so. Like I said, the Inspector General of Police has reached out to us. Our hope is that since the police have a duty and the law to provide us protection when we go on the march, we are going to be dialoguing on the logistics and modalities for that march. And so we are very welcoming of the initiative to speak to us, and we look forward to having a great conversation with the Inspector General, who we are going to formally invite to join the protest. Okay,
let me now get to the heart of what really is fueling this. I want to bring in Prince, and Prince is with the young, vibrant colleagues and friends across the country who have been on social media, on Twitter, making their voices heard using the hashtag FixTheCountry now. Prince, let me understand where you come from here. So how did this hashtag come about? Was it spontaneous, or this was planned and coordinated? Give me a sense of this.
Thank you very much for having me. I would start by saying this hashtag wasn't spontaneous. I think it had been coming all along. This movement has been coming all along, especially if you live in Ghana and you go through what we go through every day. You realize that the young people don't have opportunities in the country in which we are born, and because of that, we have no avenue to voice out, because whenever we voice out, people come to tell us, "Oh, you're young, you have no voice." So it has been gathering up, it has been building up, And fortunately for us, we came together. We rallied behind Kalije, who posted a couple of videos which sparked the hashtag, and it went viral. So for us, I don't think it's something that is spontaneous, but it's something that has built up over generations.
So sum up for me, what are the real issues that personally for you convinced you to join this hashtag?
I mean, I am a development planner by training, so I understand issues of development, and I have seen how development is done in this country. Let me ask you, what about Ghana don't we need to fix? What in Ghana? It's a question. What in Ghana don't we need to fix? From our elections, from our party representation, from our parliament, everything, it looks like everything about Ghana has to be fixed. There has to be a system. Laws don't work, systems don't work. Tell me, what do you think we don't have to fix about Ghana? I mean, in your own personal experience, you can also answer.
I mean, this is a conversation, so I'll throw it to the others. But there's a question though that what you asked also begs, which is that everything else, if it taken it from I think your obvious answer to that will be that everything else needs fixing. But the argument has been that that has been so since independence, so to speak. What triggered this hashtag now? What was the trigger for it now?
I mean, the trigger, so we live in a country where, for me personally, I have always been active. I have always been voicing my position, especially around issues of governance, issues of development, issues of everything that has to do with it. I think personally, I developed this, I became very active in this movement because I realized that over the time, government after government, successive governments have come. They promise us shallow stuff. They promise us stopgap measures. And even with those stopgap measures, they are not able to deliver. So I don't think it's something that has a spark of the moment. It is something that has been going on and been building up. And fortunately for me, my tipping point was when I got to research and got to understand how development works. I would give you an example from, so Acemoglu and Johnson has a book which is titled Why Nations Fail. And in that book, they make a reference of Ghana's footwear factory, right? Kwame Nkrumah established a footwear factory in Kumasi. We were taking the raw materials from the north, and then we'll have the marketing facility in Accra. According to Acemoglu and Johnson, the project failed because of mismanagement, not because of ignorance. It looks like everything about our country has been mismanaged. So for me, it's not about a specific moment that became a tipping point for me. It's about the generational mismanagement and me trying to upgrade my knowledge and learn about how development is done in other places. Because if you go to other places, it's not like that. And that's the tipping point for me. Are
there any current live issues that you can point to as your most recent examples that may have given you the momentum? Not only you, but a lot of your friends, because you said this is not planned.
Everything. I mean, I ask you a question. What does it need to fix? What does it need fixing in this current Ghana? Just tell me. Just tell me one. I mean, you live in a country where minimum wage is 11 cedi, 80 pesos. I mean, I spend the whole day, I work the whole day, and you want to give me 11 cedis, 80 pesos. when that cannot even take me from Accra to Kaswa and back? What doesn't need fixing in this country? Just maybe you have something that you can tell me doesn't need fixing in our country.
I mean,
I'm eager to
let me throw that question. Do we have Richard Asante-Yeboah, who is joining us also? Do we have him on Zoom? Okay, Richard, thank you for joining us. That's the question I'm throwing to you that Prince is asking. That everything in this country, I guess, implied in this question is that everything is broken and needs fixing. Do you agree, Richard? Hello, Richard. I think you've muted your Zoom. Can you unmute it, please, for me? Can you unmute your Zoom? I can still hear you, Richard. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Richard when Richard manages to fix it. Please let's help him do that. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Political Science Department lecturer, senior lecturer there. Doc, so that is a sentiment that led to the hashtag. You've heard it. First of all, what's your comment? What's your comment on what we've just heard articulated by Prince? Young man who believes everything is broken, needs fixing. This is the time to do it.
I think from governance perspective, it's a good point for all of us to reflect on whether we are doing well as a nation and we are getting the basics right in terms of governance. So for me, it's a feedback, a public opinion feedback that is useful to gauge the conduct of those who are holding political power and what is it that they need to do in order to make everybody happy. And that is the expression that you'll find from the young people on the social network platforms. Yes.
I mean, do you find the question that I was asking relevant in the sense that what Prince talks about, if you've lived in Ghana, you will know it's not something that started today. I mean, there's a lot that is wrong with our society that many governments have attempted to fix. Do you find relevance in the question, the moment, the choice of the moment? Is there any significance in that? As in, why now? As in the question, why now?
Oh, definitely. For every issue, there's a point that it starts. So if this is the time that they found as suitable to look at these issues and see whether political authority will be able to address, that's fine. But what I can say is that, as you've rightly pointed out, these issues have been with us since time immemorial. Government come, government go. They are able to fix a few of them and leave them. And gradually, some of them are becoming very difficult to handle. And it is generating this type of feedback that we are getting in the political system. So for me, it's a call on the leadership of the country to look at these things and see how best they can, address them. Because simply put, if you are looking at governance, you need criticisms which should serve as the oil that greases the wheels of governance to be able to direct leadership as to the direction to follow and then to get the basics right. After all, what is the essence of governance? Is to be able to manage resources on behalf of the people and make life better. It is true that some of the things that they say is a reality today, but it's also true that some of them governments that we have had since the Fourth Republic have been able to do one thing or another to improve the lot of people. So it's a whole mixed bag that is not only a very difficult situation, but some of them appear to be very daunting in terms of how we handle them. Yes.
Let me bring back Mr. Yeboah, who joins us again. Hopefully we can hear him now. Richard, I was asking that question earlier. You've heard the sentiments that has led to the hashtag. First of all, the view is that everything else is broken, needs fixing. Mr. Asah-Asante has drawn on that we've seen this over the years, but there must have been something that may have triggered this. But they've seen from the expressions that we've had there, it's time for something to happen. I mean, do you agree that really, as a country, everything is fixing?
I do agree in a situation where there are certain things that we all admit to ourselves that there are challenges which ought to be faced. And I think that point has been made forcefully over the years, that whatever be the situation, if there are challenges that confront the country, and if there are issues at the various facets of our lives as a people, we need to look at it. And so I think you realize that the conversation is literally focused on systemic failure that has engulfed the country over the years. And these issues gets to be addressed by one government or the other. And I think that this government has taken a bolder decision in addressing some of these issues that we all know that confronts ourselves as a people. I do not have problems with anybody or any Ghanaian who would want to voice out their grievances or their opinion on matters of national importance, because at the end of the day, we are practicing a participatory democracy. We want people to sort of speak out their mind, be able to help contribute to their quota in terms of helping build our nation. But what we ought to understand is that this ought to be a work that ought to be understood from the point of all hands on deck attitude, where everybody's called on board to come and assist in building this nation. That should be the only way forward. Because the point is that when you talk about facing a nation, you cannot put all the focus on only politicians or the political actors or the president. The president will put all measures in place, make sure that resources are made at the disposal of the various ministry, department, agencies to do their work. They will bring policies like the free education, planning for food and jobs, 1-to-1 factory. But somebody might want to go and pay bribes somewhere. Somebody might want to run away from paying taxes. Somebody might go and do illegal connection. Somebody will go and steal a street lighting system that has been built. So what we ought to do as a people is to understand that in building our nation, we need every Tom, Dick, and Harry to bring their energies, their effort into one concerted big basket, so that we can deal with these issues that confront our nation. Because the point is that there's no country on earth that do not have challenges that people will not speak about. When you go to the US, they have their own issues. We are talking about Ghana in the face of COVID and where we've come from in terms of our effort in battling this COVID. We have the UK and other countries literally in recession now. Ghana is not growing in the negatives. It means that something better is being done. In terms of the handling of COVID, something better is being done. So we are doing things, but sometimes I agree. It's like the Oliver Twist, we always want to ask for more. And I also like the idea where citizens challenge the authorities to provide more to help build our country. And I support those sort of things. I do not subscribe to an effort where you see issues that are being spoken of and it's politically tinted and there seem to be certain political underpinning. I think I like the submission by my brother. You realize that
you're not suggesting that the hashtag movement is politically tinted, are you?
I'm not sure I've said so. I'm not sure. There are others who are trying to use it for their own parochial interests. Those ones are different. But the point is that any call from whatever quarters that seems to suggest that let's come together and face the challenges that confront our nation. That talks about issues about I as an individual, your good self as a journalist, doing your best, doing your work to help build our country. Lawyers doing their best, judges doing their best, making sure teachers will not run away from lecture halls or school classroom instead of teaching students, making sure that at least the police officer is on duty. Those who have been mandated to go and fight galamsey, they are doing their best. When we talk about issues like this, it means that everybody is shaping their life. And that is the only way. I remember back in the days, Aliyu Mahama, the vice president, the late, had adverts that he used to help the country have in terms of being disciplined. It meant that we need everybody to build this country. We need everybody to strengthen their path and also contribute their quota in that direction without being cynical. Because indeed, good things are happening. Greater things are being done.
Yeah.
Ghana is keeping a lot of laurels in the international level.
Hold on for me. Let me
we
bring
need to appreciate all those things whilst we equally ask for more from the people who are in charge of the country.
Hold on for me. Let me bring in Mausi back. Mausi, when you say fix the country, Who should fix the country? Who is that directed at?
Evans, I think that there's always an attempt to make this about amenities and make this about quick fixes here and there. We are saying that the soul of this country is broken, and that so many times the tragedy of politics in this country is that it has killed what is good in us.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind addressing
that it has nurtured our worst
if you don't mind, Mausi, if you don't mind addressing that, you can expand. The question is, when you say fix the country, who is that addressed at? Who is to fix the country?
Every day when Ghanaians queue in the scorching sun at polling stations to vote for people, on what basis do they vote to do that? Who are they voting for? What call has been extended to them? What promises have been made? We said clearly in our statement that this is on the back of consistent failures and promises that have been given to the people of Ghana to make this country different. So who has been making those promises?
Okay, so this is leadership you're talking about. This is leadership.
I think Prince was spot on when he said there's a failure of leadership from the top down. And that failure of leadership must be tackled and be challenged. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Let me give you an example of a failure of leadership. My friend here was talking about needing to have the conversation and engaging us. Today, throughout the day, government communicators have done nothing but lie. They've even gone out and put up a poster, created a budget that we've gone to seek funds from the ex-president, and Mahama, of over 4 million Ghana citizens. There's no genuine attempt to engage and have an honest conversation. But lack of honesty in our body politic is what is wrong with the soul of this country. So who must fix that? The people who have a responsibility to tell the truth to us, to lead us in honesty, to demonstrate that these are the values of what it means to be Ghanaian. They're not living by those standards. So who must fix it? I mean, this is a question I wonder. Who must fix that? Those are the promises that have been broken. So who do you think must fix it?
Let me put that question to Asasante, because Asasante, tell me where you stand on this. So there are two views I'm hearing here: the you versus leadership debate. Mausi, Prince talk about fix the country, and they've defined this: who should fix it? They believe leadership, as in political leadership maybe, but top down. Then you hear Mr. Yeboah talk about the fact that, well, I mean, not leadership, but collectively, we must all fix the country, which is the binary hashtags we found. Which of these two appeals to you, for example?
Or if you look at the conversation, you listen to it carefully, you realize that it's a two-way affair. One, you have leadership that we have given power to manage on our behalf. Obviously, they have a big responsibility. But we, as a citizen, also, we have duties and obligations. And that go to what? Support the political system. All that you are talking about is, for me, they are trying to remind government of its responsibility. Some of the responsibility that government need to perform. For instance, if you look at building of infrastructure, rules and all that, these things are clearly defined in the directive principle of state policy, that the state must make conscious effort to be able to fix some of these things for the society. So if a group emerges today that they want to, throw light on this thing, it's a call to duty, so to speak, on the part of government. If you look at what they talk about, you look at it from the perspective that power spring from the people, then you realize that you can never govern without people having a say in the government processes. And for me, it is in line with the preamble of the 1992 Constitution, which gives everybody the opportunity to be able to be heard about how he or she is governed. Of course, if you look at it, it stretches also to the fact that sometimes political parties make a lot of campaign promises during electoral campaigns. And sometimes some of these promises are so wide that they are not able to deliver. And people take them on so that the next time they will be able to promise things that they can deliver. If you look at issues, for instance, like Galamsey, it takes us to the realm of state capacity that do we have a government that, when I say government, I'm talking about all government we've had in the Fourth Republic, have they been able to deal with the problem head on? And you realize that there's a challenge there because in the state, we have given power to the political authority or people who are supposed to hold power on our behalf to govern on our behalf. And we are giving them the mandate to use all laws to be able to govern us very well. In state capacity, if you are not able to use your rules and regulations to deal with problems that you have on your hand, then you get back to what? You are walking a very tightrope leading toward state collapse. All right. So some of these things, for me, as a student of politics, is a wake-up call for government to listen to it and then address them. It is also true that some of these problems have existed over years, and government is trying to do it bit. If you look at unemployment, is one of the factors that influence voter choices in this country. Research has shown that unemployment is there, but we have seen government trying to manage some of these things through NAPCO and planting for food and jobs and other things. So some of the conversation, if you overstretch it, you eclipse some of the good things that the government is doing, and then it dovetails into propaganda and all that. That is not to suggest that what you are saying is not the reality. Yes, times are hard. It is true. We are not getting some of the basics right. And that has called for some of these reactions that we are seeing. For me, as a student of politics, as I've said, and I'll repeat, that is a wake-up call. Because some of these things, when you look at it, it serves as a policy guide for government to be able to look at it and, turn the fortunes around. You recall in 1995, the Kumipreko, demonstrations. The NDC government at the time fixed VAT at 17.2%. Some of these activities led to the reduction to about 2.5%, and which today has existed and is supporting the economic fortunes of this country. So for me, all these exercises go to strengthen the political culture of the country. And now we are getting people who are not passive. They are not in the realm of passive political culture, but you have participants, people who want to be heard, people who want to voice out things that affect their very survival, and they want government to pay attention. For me, it's a good thing, provided that the discussion comes out clearly and it's devoid of partisan parochial interest.
Yeah, I mean, Dr.
For me,
Asante,
that is the key to go.
I will take a break. When I return, I'll get Prince's thoughts on that argument, that the argument should be framed in the context of, as they say, what you can do for your country and not what your country can do for you. So that it's a case of what can Prince do to fix the country and not necessarily what only the leader can do. I'll ask him his thoughts on that. And then, listen, I need to ask the question, because there's a current political leadership. And I'll ask the question, I mean, the majority of Ghanaians just voted for another political leadership 4 months ago. Many will say that is an endorsement of what that leadership had done, and that they were happy with the way they have fixed the country over the last 4 years. And so they've just had 4 more months to, I guess, continue. So are they missing something? Stay with me as we begin to unpack that very controversial aspect of all this here on this great conversation about the big fix debate after the break. And this is the Big Fix debate on the PM Express. My guest, Prince Kwekuado, with the Fix the Country hashtag movement. Richard Asante, Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. Also, of course, with us is Mausi Oliver Baker Vamawo. Also joining us is Dr. Kwame Asante, the Senior Lecturer, Department of the University of Ghana, Political Science Department. Prince, to that question that I'm pretty sure you've been asked, the way it has been framed, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I mean, if you change that slightly, ask not what your leaders necessarily can do for you, but what your contribution can be to the fixing of the country. Do you accept that argument?
Well, I would answer your question, but I would just want to bounce off this with you. if I fix myself, right? If I fix myself, would the unemployment in the country go down? Anyway, that's just an aside there. But the thing is, I know governance is a continuum, or governance in itself, or development in itself can be either bottom up or top down. I agree. Here is a case where you have me, Prince, nobody, right, shouting, fix the country, fix the country. Am I not doing my part? Am I not doing what I am supposed to do? Am I not bringing attention to certain issues that, okay, fix the country, I want this country fixed? Am I not doing my part? So then why should we have someone trying to counter or trying to distract what we are doing, distract us from what we are doing? The other issue is, without admitting that there's a problem, you cannot fix it, right? And so far, nobody has admitted that there's a problem. So far, what we have realized is people are saying, fix yourself. We are fixing it. We are fixing something. Nobody is admitting anything. Officially, government hasn't said anything. So what are we fixing? I mean, that should be the bigger question we should ask ourselves. If nobody wants to admit that there's a problem that needs fixing, how do we go about it? Right? I am shouting, fix the country, fix the country. I didn't say fix a certain person or fix me. I said fix the country. And I don't think I have a budget to fix the country.
Yeah, I mean, so Richard, let me come to Richard. Richard, isn't this why you campaign? I mean, the president. I mean, you Deputy Communications Director of the MPP. Isn't this why your party campaigned? The whole point of seeking to lead this country was so you can fix the country. And so
exactly.
I mean, so my question to you is, you should accept without introducing the argument of but we all should, because that is not why. If we all could, we all be leaders. But because you believe you could fix the country, so you came, and when we surrendered our will and our sovereignty to you, so you fix the country. So why are you now introducing the element of we all must put our heads to the wheel and fix it? That's not why your president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, stood up and said, vote for me.
Evans, I think that has been the stance of the president right from the scratch. Really? Remember, let's all be citizens and not spectators.
Yes. I mean, but that is exactly what the Fix the Country campaign is all about. They are being.
So you see, I mean, we ought not.
They are not being spectators.
Evans, if you allow me, we ought not to split hairs here, because at the end of the day, listen to my brother Prince and what he speaks of. There are few issues that I might possibly disagree here and there, but I think that in totality, I largely agree with the sort of campaign he's gotten for himself and what he's doing. That is, and I already applauded that in my earlier submission. And I spoke to the point that we all know that there are challenges in this country, and every country under the sun do have problems. We know there are problems. That is why we have manifestos. Manifestos are supposed to provide solutions to the problem that we think ought to be solved within the period that we're going to be in power. We know there are a myriad of challenges and issues, and all of them cannot be solved within a period of 4 years. But we will tease out those that we think that within the 4-year period, we'll be able to deal with them. That is why in our first term, we spoke about some of them, and we tackled the good number of them and provided solutions for some of them. That I mentioned earlier on, the lives of the free education. We knew that people were finding it difficult to pay school fees. People were walking on the street selling dog chains and all kinds of things. Parents were struggling, paying school fees. We came in and we faced a problem. We knew it was a challenge. It was a problem. We knew nursing training colleges and teacher training college allowance has been cancelled. That was a major problem confronting some people. Maybe somebody here will not be happy about it because it was not a nursing trainee. He wasn't being challenged with that situation. But when we came in, we fixed it. We fixed a couple of issues, including roads issues. We fixed a couple of issues regarding electricity. We are continuously doing that. There will not be a point in any country's time that there will not be incident of unemployment. But what you do is that you solve them. That is why the lives, the issues and job creating opportunities like one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs. All these things are being done.
Yeah, I mean, Richard, hold on for me. Let me bring back
the private sector.
Let me bring back Prince. Is it your argument in absolute terms that there is no problem that a leader in political authority has fixed in Ghana?
Well, look, I mean, if any leader ever fixed a problem in the country, I don't think that leader would be voted out, right? If you fix the problem, I don't think, or if you fix the country,
but if that is your argument, then isn't that why then Nando was voted again for in the last election, because people believe he's fixed something?
So, look, this is what I have to say. If you govern a country based on manifestos, so a couple of people will sit down and write a couple of sentences and a couple of projects, and at the end of a 4-year span would say, oh, we have done this, we have done that, we have done that. You're not fixing the country. You're not moving a country forward. A country is moved forward with a long-term vision, a long-term plan. Ask yourself, what happened to Vision 2020? I mean, we're in 2021. What happened to all the good stuff that we wrote in Vision 2020? Ask yourself, do we have a long-term plan? I mean, we recently developed a long-term plan, a strategic plan to 2048. Ask yourself, how many of the manifestos takes a cue from the long-term plan? What was the consultation like? Who were
good
those
question
involved?
Good question, Prince. Let me bring in Mausi. Sorry, Richard, because I don't have time. I want to get everybody to have a bite before I wrap up. So let me just go to Mausi quickly. Mausi, that question I asked, and I think Prince himself brought it up. I teased it before I went for the break, but let me ask you that. This government was just voted for 4 months ago. The ultimate expression of the people's will is at the polls. The fact that they voted for them, isn't that an indication that the people, majority at least, believe that they fixed something at least and given them a chance to continue fixing, so to speak? And that 4 months ago, everybody agreed that we are on the right path. So renew their mandate. Do you agree?
The people of Uganda have voted for Museveni for the past 30 years. The people of Cameroon have voted for Paul Biya for the past 37 years. The people of Gabon have voted for the dynasty in power for the past 40 years. The people of Togo have voted for the Yad Dema family for how long?
Are we talking about Ghana?
The source, Richard, I try not to interrupt whenever.
Yeah, I mean, Richard, allow him because I don't have time. Let him make this point in 1 minute.
Because we're telling the country, citing other
Richard, I don't have time. Richard, Mausi, you have 1 minute. Please make your point so I can hear from Dr. Asante.
It is important that this conversation must transcend the pettiness that has become our politics. It is important that we understand that it is about the soul of this country, and by God, we must win this fight. Because we cannot have people saying the same thing over and over again. We have a politics where words have lost their meaning. You say one thing. Prince mentioned Vision 2020. Vision 2020 said by 2020, Ghana will look like Singapore. Last year, we had, a couple of years ago, President Mahamas talking about Accra, Dubai. Words have no meaning in this jurisdiction. The truth is, words about because they have no deep commitment to them. Let's stop this practice of saying that once we've elected them and that's it, everything is fine and dandy. There's something wrong with this country. We must have honest conversation before we can fix them.
Okay. Dr. Asante, edit for me. Let me ask, is it fair for this movement to start 4 months after a government mandate was renewed, and majority of Ghanaians said, well, listen, we appreciate what you're doing, carry on. Is it fair, the moment, the choice of the moment? Fair? I think you've muted your Zoom, Mr. Sasante, Dr. Sasante.
Right.
Yes, very briefly, because I need to wrap up.
If you look at it, to some extent, you can say that yes, it's fair, but some to the other, we are saying that it's not fair. Why am I saying that? Fair because, look, if you look at it from the point of view that the people that you are governing must be interested in what you are doing, because Aristotle guides us in determining the type of government that is useful, that is good for us. It's who rules and in whose interest. If we answer the second question, in whose interest, it is in the interest of the people. So if the people have a problem, they have every legitimate right to voice it out. And then people in authority must find solution to them. On the other hand, if you look at it from the backdrop that this government is just about 4 months old, and now that it is even being formed, we have deputy ministers who have been nominated, they are now going to be vetted and be part of government. Then we are saying that it is too much for the government because the government has not even begun, and you are demanding accountability and performance from the government. That, to a large extent, is very unfair.
Okay.
But for me, that dialogue that has started this way is the way to go, because criticisms are the oils that grease the wheels of governance, and it shape the frontiers of government to enable those holders of political power to deliver the public goods. So for me, it's a good beginning, but I believe that they must also hasten slowly for government to start so that you can take government on for the processes, the promises that they've given to us to see whether it will come to fruition.
Dr. Sasante, Oliver, Richard Prince, thank you very much. Listen, this conversation is just beginning. There is a planned protest on Sunday. We'll see how that unfolds. But my colleague Samson just indicated to me that when Oliver mentions the EI that he says has expired, he says he's aware that in February 2021 another airline has been made, and that he understands that actually another airline, EI, made on the 26th April, extending the restrictions yet again, and so there is one in force currently. Listen, enjoy the rest of your evening. This conversation will continue. We'll catch you again next week, Monday.